This is the 5-point checklist, perfect form for the barbell back squat. So there's a particular standard of what's considered just classical good squatting here at the lab. It's not a powerlifting style sumo stance or leaning forward here. It's a nice, well developed, built upon the postural position, high bar loaded, sort of, you could refer this as to Olympic style high bar squat, but really just makes sense in general to squat this way. It's how you would naturally squat down and up anyway. So butt down, bending the knees. It's a nice combination. It's not a quad dominant. It is a nice balance of quads and hamstrings together and how the legs function and work together as a whole piece. So using more quads in powerlifting style, yes, but it doesn't mean it's just the quad dominant only exercise. The entire leg piece is put together nicely functioning. So that being said, what we're doing again here is looking from the ground up, from feet, knees, hips, and eyes. I'm sorry, back and spine, then eyes, and then just some general miscellaneous points for the squat specifically. So I'm going through here to grade and check his form on his squat here on a 5-point system, but it is basically, is it an A, B, C, D, or F squat? And every time he has a deviation here, I would minus a point based on whatever the technique flaw might be. So let's say his feet are too close or too wide, it'd be minus a point. Well, specifically here when I'm setting him up for this, I'm looking at his feet first. And so it's just a real quick sequence of how I can look through it and checklist system of what's breaking down and how I can fix it really quickly. So first are his feet hip to shoulder width. So depending on his height and the width of his hips and femurs and everything would determine this. But generally shoulder width stance is pretty good for squatting. Inside of the shoulders does not make much sense at all. Go ahead and come in real quick. Squatting there is not going to go too well, and generally what's going to happen is his knees are going to jump straight forward, and he's going to end up with a lot of pressure from the side. Well, see me from the side. If you're doing a lot of this, a lot of low pressure below the knee there, pain under the kneecap as well. You can still do open up and squat this way, but it's really a poor rounded center of gravity. The surface area is smaller and doesn't work too well with the hips. So when you try to squat down, you're stopped for your hips here because your legs are in the way. You need to open those hips up so you get your hips between your ankles a little bit more. So open those legs up there. So inside the hips would be minus a point. Outside too wide, like a powerlifter here, is definitely way beyond. Remember, we're building on solid posture here, so we want more of a neutral kind of stance here. What makes sense for his body in a Tom Fit squat healthily? So we're going shoulder width, maybe slightly wider in shoulder width. If he's say above 6 foot tall, that makes sense for him. But for him, he's around a shoulder width stance kind of squat. So that's the first thing I look at is feet. So do I have any deviations there? Yes or no? So that would mean sumo style or inside hips would be minus a point. Next is feet. So we want his center of gravity into his heels, and at the very worst, the ball of his foot. So what we do there is cue the toes up. That way he can sit the center of gravity back into his heels and drive through his heels here. So he can transfer that center of gravity to the middle of his body, but to the back side, because when he has that weight on his back, it's going to pitch him and draw him forward. So he's fighting back by digging those heels in, driving through his heels so he can use quads, hamstrings, and hips here more, which is also going to take pressure out of the kneecaps there. So sitting back, sitting back, sitting back. So if he falls on his toes, it'd be minus a point, especially if it's a chronic problem. I always tell them that we can cut their toes off and they can squat just fine. So get those suckers up. Okay. Next from there, I'd be looking at his knees. So are his knees in line with the tracking of his feet? So there's a lot of talk over toeing in and out. So if you go straight forward, you're going to end up here. You can still abduct out, so if you're flexible enough to do it, but you're going to start having torque in that knee because it's not tracking right with the tibias. If you're forcing too much straightness, that should have a nice toeing out of what makes sense to track correctly from the knee down to the shin. Like you see here, there's a diamond position from the hips out to the knees down to the shin. So you'll find comfortable diamond angle there versus too neutral or straight there. This is going to be the range of how far you can go with a ski or neutral squat. You're not going to be able to go down very far, plus the further you go, the more knee pain you're going to have. This is going to displace that laterally a little bit better so you can take pressure off the knees, into the quads and hips more, and squat lower, pain-free, staying in the heels. So looking at the knees, first of all, they have the correct tracking. That's the ideal norm, but if there's an excessive cave, so falling inward here, that would be minus a point. Just like in the deadlift, no reason for the knees to cave in. You know, if you're doing a 1 rep max attempt and then everything's dialed in solid, fine, but it's not the normal rep that we're looking for. So these are abducted out the whole time, staying out, staying nice and wide. So next to that, so a forward skier squat, too neutral, is not a good way to squat. It's not a squat, that's a knee bend. So to squat correctly, abduct knees out, no caving in. So working our way to the hips and butt. Do they come up with the shoulders and chest? Do they come straight back and down, or do they go below parallel? So I'm gonna have you squat with the bar now. Then accept the bar, pull the bar on tight. The bar is gonna be tight into a postural position, but I'm watching at his hips now, but making sure that he keeps his butt down the whole time. So just like in the deadlift, we want to keep his hips down low, and his chest is leading the way the whole time. Go ahead and squat down, slow and tight, tight, drive through the heels up, good one. So that's a nice solid sequence. So nothing obviously standing out here. So butt down, again, drive up, good, one more, butt down, drive up. Now at the bottom, come with your hips up first and slightly lean over, and then come up. So come down, he's coming down, his hips shoot, not so obvious there, but shoot him a little sooner. And this is what happens when he gets heavy. The butt comes up first, and then his hips shoot up. And really what it'll look like, exaggerated, is coming down, and it'll come up like this. And then eyes will tend to fall down, the back tends to roll, but the center of gravity comes forward, they roll to the toes, everything starts breaking down. So you gotta pay special attention that the butt stays down and comes up at the same rate. Likewise, when you're cueing this to set him up, if you tip them butt back, then down, it allows his hips to get between his ankles a lot better. So instead of just going straight down, so if you go straight down, a lot of times you'll just go right into the toes. But if you say back first, it opens those hips so we go down in the squat correctly. So you want to go up, butt back, knees out. Butt back first, knees out, drive, good. There you go. Okay, next, looking at, so other problems you might see, other than them rising too quickly, but if you look from the back side, shift or a twist. So looking from the back, we want to make sure the spine and tailbone, we're going to draw just an imaginary line down the back here, that we have equal movement on both sides. So go ahead and squat down and up, let's see. And solid, good. Again, pretty solid, no obvious shifting there, but you might see the hips shooting over to the side, so squat. So squat down, come over. You see a lot of that. You know, this external rotator might be too, or this one might be a little too tight, causing the shift. Good. The opposite of the adductor's a little too tight, so again, shift. Good, so you might get that chronically to each side. So go ahead and stand. And the quick cue for that is you don't need to necessarily do all this corrective work for the cue, but straight back, knees out, it fixes it all the time. So tighten up here first, tailbone straight back, knees go straight out. So butt back, knees out. Get it. Good. And so many times just being aware of it fixes the problem before you spend a lot of time going off in veers and tangents trying to fix that. So then finally the hips break parallel or they higher than parallel. So from the side, so seeing his depth here, his hips here, let's say how are they in relation to the knees. So go ahead and squat to, I'll tell you to stop down slow and up. That would be not below parallel or even at parallel. So that's minus a point, that's not a squat. Again, that's a knee bend. Okay, now come lower and I'll tell you to stop. Right about there, so the crease of his hip and the top of his knee are about parallel there, so or his femur's parallel. The hard gold standard here would be hips to knees versus femur parallel. So how much quad development does he have that's causing the angle to look off? But we can call that parallel there, go and stand and cover. Now we're going full ATG, or chamois squats we call them. All the way down, hamstrings, make the contact with the calves. Below parallel, so back in the heels more, toes up. So you can see, not a drastic difference here for him because he's got so much mass in there, but he's got contact here, and his hips are below the knees. That is ass to grass there. So driving up to the heel, up. You saw he lost his lumbar arch in there. So for this guy, unless I can't cue it right away, I would not continue to hit him that low until I can lock in that last piece. More hyperextensions, more cueing, more stretches and stuff to bring all the pieces together. Or we might just do some squat and holds to really dial in all those pieces. So those are all the hip things to really look at. So do they rise faster than the chest and shoulders? Any shifting or twisting, or are they breaking parallel or not? So all ways to lose points. Next, go ahead and rack the bar. For the back and spine again, looking at this here. So we just talked about his lumbar arch. Now there'll be minus a point there because he lost that lumbar arch in the bottom of the squat there. Likewise, if this rounds in the upper back, he's squatting, it's minus a point. Some guys can't even set up correctly there. So, excuse me. So walk in the bar and try to keep that same position. Walk through and try to rack. Guys who have terrible posture, they're already starting with a soft round back here. Open up the round. That's just their normal posture. Bring your head up a little bit. That's kind of where they're at. So if you cue them to squeeze the bar down tight, posture hold, in, and squeeze the bar down, that will engage that a little tighter, and they can bring that posture position in, locking all the vertebrae in. So all that line on their back so they can feel that, and that'll tighten the bar up there. So, however, once they're actually doing the squat, if any of those, if the upper thoracic breaks, minus a point, lumbar breaks, minus a point, they both break together, that's minus 3 points synergistically. That's a drastic problem. The set should be over at that point in time. Or we need to shorten the range or go on any other tangent to fix that. Next, when relax, is the eyes and head. So this is related to the cervical spine and just all the center of gravity and balance. Again, if I look forward or down, everything else falls down, center of gravity goes down. I even feel, looking down, more center of gravity in my toes. So already I'm going this way with my squats. I need to stay back into the heels, eyes are forward or up. So when I feel that load working against me down, I can fight back and keep an optimal strong position. So eyes dropping down would be minus 2 points. Then finally, some just general miscellaneous points here. Really, to get an A squat, not losing any points, it would be a parallel squat, hips at the kneecap. But to get an A plus, let's say, it would be a chamois, sort of ass to grass, or ass to ankles, hamstrings to calves setup. I don't expect that out of everybody. It's a nice gold standard to seek, but not exactly all that important. So to get an A, they're not losing points if they don't get rock bottom there, but that's how they get an A plus squat. So if you tell them an A and they're like, oh, why isn't it an A plus? That's why. And last 2 points, use of a belt or knee wraps would be minus a point, because we're trying to build the body on its own. We don't need any of those artificial devices to do the work for us. So we're doing unassisted, no wraps, no belts, etc. So that basically would cover all the 5 points for perfect squatting.